I'd like to welcome everyone to the July the 7th, 2025 Madison County School Board meeting. We're going to all stand and open with prayer. Ms. Devin.
Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and for the privilege of serving our community. I'm grateful for the trust that you have placed in each one of us, and I pray that we will make decisions that are first and foremost pleasing to you and in the best interest of our staff and our students and the community. Thank you again for the privilege to serve. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Say the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to first start with the trim meeting. Mr. Copeland.
Y'all had a agenda or a timeline attached with your agenda. I'm going to give you something that's a little more narrowed down.
It was in the stuff she had on our desk.
Be a little more precise with what we need to cover as far as planning the required meetings.
Thank you.
That kind of reflects what I had.
You got one?
narrowed down where it's
Okay.
easier to track.
Thank you. You need one?
I got one.
So this is given the draft document too?
You can.
Yeah. And I'll explain.
Now, here it is. Calendar.
This is something that's a work in progress, but we're going to build on it and
Thank
try
you.
to give y'all maybe some better forward thinking documents as we go towards
Thank you.
our final budget meeting. Good evening. What I wanted to cover this evening, we don't really have any action to take other than nailing down or working to nail down the proposed meetings necessary to comply with the trim deadlines. And so the one-page document I provided that has the action dates, due date, and activity, I will kind of run through that. We dropped in some proposed dates for the board to consider. And of course, we tried to work these in where we could on regular board meeting dates, but there will be one, maybe two special meetings we'll need to call to meet the deadlines. But you'll see the action date, July 7th tonight. We want to obviously cover the calendar and work to nail down the next dates. And I won't go through these. The second action item you'll see, which is due on the trim calendar by the 24th of July. And that's the superintendent presents proposed budget to board for approval of the tentative budget and the village. And at that time, we would set a date for the tentative 25-26 public hearing also. We were proposing July the 21st, which is a regular board meeting. And I'm going to revert back to the other package I gave y'all. What we want to do is provide y'all with our final working draft budget by the 14th of July, which gives you a week to digest the information and ask questions. But what I provided is a draft of that evolving document that will go ahead and provide y'all with a lot of good historical data and a lot of data based on what we're looking at from the revenue side in 25, 26. Don't get too bogged down in it because it's an evolving document and it will change. But again, I've had some great questions, and a lot of the questions were referencing historical information. And that doesn't dictate necessarily how we go forward, but it does give you a good benchmark to kind of see what we're facing as we're looking at some decreases in FTE, some increases in the empowerment scholarships, and the things that at the end of the day, when you mash them together, it's less money for our district here. And so I'd ask that y'all, I tried to make it somewhat high level, but start reviewing the historical information, if you will, while we work on completing that document to include everything we need to include. Again, our goal is to have that by the 14th. We'll give y'all 7 days before we take or we bring the tentative budget and millage for approval on the 21st of July. So I don't know what the cadence is of approving these meeting dates, but is 21st okay?
Bless you. Thank you.
Usually what you do is the board member will just make a motion and a second and all that to approve the schedule of dates. Mr. Copeland's given you a schedule of dates, so if you don't like some of those, say, well, I'll approve it except for this one that I want to change to be that, or however.
I can't be here the 28th.
I think that's,
I could call, but I can't be here.
That would be the proposed special meeting, which would not be a normal board meeting,
Right.
but understood.
isn't that the conference?
I believe the 29th, I think.
Yeah, okay.
And again,
Devin, can you be here? I can be here the 28th. I can't be here after that. I leave the next
Okay.
day for out of town.
if we can, y'all, we're good with the 21st. The 24th is simply, it's not any board action of sorts. It's just a day we have to have our advertisements in the newspaper. So 28th, Carol won't be here. And then we're projecting the final public hearing for September the 15th. I know that's a ways out, but there are certain deadlines of the days we have to have these within. And so that meeting has to be between September the 3rd and September the 18th. And so we can schedule it for the 15th, tentatively. That would work well on our end.
So what are we doing about 28th? You, Mrs. Thompson, you're saying you can be here,
I can be here. He said he can call in.
So,
so you would chair.
So you would chair.
so, Mr. Chair, I would move to accept the proposed trim calendar presented.
Okay.
I second.
I have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Thompson to approve the dates for the trim calendar. Yeah, any discussion anymore? All in favor? 5-0.
There's a lot of minutia that goes in between the dates, and we'll handle all that. I didn't want to bog y'all down with it, but appreciate y'all
Yes.
getting this nailed down. Again, please don't get bogged down in the budget work papers I gave you, but I think if you spend a little time on it, it may get us to where we'll have more forward-thinking information when we try to work through our initial budget on the 21st.
We appreciate that.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you all very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Copeland.
Okay. We're going to roll on in here to the board meeting, regular board meeting. I'll call it to order, and we have some amendments. The first one is we're gonna move to 8.5, Baker Donaldson Legal Services for the FEMA appeal. That's for, and then 8.6 will be the consolidation work with Eagle Tree. And 8.7, we're removing the Blooms renewal from the consent and putting it on the items for individual consideration.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda.
I second.
I have a motion by Ms. Thompson, a second by Ms. Knight to adopt the agenda. Any discussions on the agenda?
I don't think I'll have a problem since we discussed it with Dr. Pickles, but in the future, I would like to see personnel changes, strictly the changes, the resignations, the new hires and all that, and any additional paying people extra money, I'd like to see that separated. I think tonight I won't have a problem with it.
Are you meaning
We-
in different individual items?
Yes, still under individual consideration,
But not,
but not all together.
We vote on it separate.
it's in
Yes.
5 different,
Uh-huh.
okay,
In other words, number 1 is good, but 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'd like to have them
separate individual items?
separate but together. You can keep it. It all involves adding additional hours.
So do additional hours for one vote and personnel changes for another?
Yes, yes. If you please.
Shouldn't see. I think that's okay.
That's no problem.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Thank you.
Okay. All approve the adoption of the agenda? All in favor, I mean?
Yeah.
Oops, excuse me.
Approve the agenda.
5-0. Okay, we're gonna move on, public comment. We don't have any, do we? No public comment. The consent agenda consists of 4.1, the minutes, 4.2, the chiller water treatment yearly contract, 4.3, the 2025-26 Madison County School calendar updated, and the 4.4, the Code of Conduct 25-26 for advertisement. 4.5, the NSLP equipment grant. 5.1, the Florida.
Hold on.
Okay.
Stop at the 4.5s.
Four- I did say 4.5.
Yeah, but you were going to 5.1.
Okay, so we're gonna vote on this consent, that consent, and that consent?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm all good. All right.
So let me point out the code of conduct is the one that we just workshopped, so that does include all the updates we just made.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda
I
and to
second.
advertise the code of conduct.
I second.
I have a motion by Ms. Gibson, a second by Ms. Thompson to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion, any more? All in favor? 5-0. All right, now consent agenda items curriculum. 5.1 Florida School Book Depository. 5.2 Madison County School Board District Renewal. Nope.
Then we're gonna
We
pull
pulled
that.
5.2.
Cross that one.
5.3, the PACE annual contract renewal. 5.4, NEFAC annual agreements. 5.5, paranormal education proposal and service order. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda curriculum?
I move to approve the consent agenda items for curriculum.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Thompson, a second by Ms. Gibson to approve the consent agenda items curriculum. Is there any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. All right. Consent agenda items ESE. 6.1, contractual agreement for inter-county transfer of exceptional students with Leon County Schools. Agreement for participation in 6.2 is agreement for participation in multi-district programs for the visually impaired. 6.3, independent contractor agreement with Stephanie Hall. 6.4, MCSO cooperative agreement for ESE students. 6.5, Panhandle Stera. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items ESE?
I move to approve the consent agenda items for ESC.
I second.
I have a motion by Ms. Thompson, a second by Ms. Knight to approve the consent agenda items ESE. Is there any discussion on these? If not, all in favor? 5-0. All right, travel and trips for consideration. Staff travel. Dr. Pickles?
Under staff travel, there are three. You'll see there's one individual going to UFly for the University of Florida Literacy Institute. Then there's Miss Fletcher going to FISBIT. And then Miss Brown has been asked to come and speak and be a panelist during the PACE Leadership Summer Conference. So she's just going to go overnight for the one day. So I do ask for your approval of these three staff trips.
Okay. I have a motion to approve the staff travel.
I move to approve the staff travel.
Second.
Who's seconded it?
Ms. Gibson.
Second.
Who?
Gibson.
We have a motion by Ms. Thompson and a second by Ms. Gibson to approve the staff travel. Any discussion on staff travel? If not, all in favor? 5-0. Okay, items for individual consideration. 8.1, Madison County School District chiller replacement change order. Mr. Rutherford.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just wanted to kind of bring you up to speed and brief on what this is, we've got started. So the chiller work, we did this project in December. Ordered chillers, 42 weeks, 45 weeks, all good. In March, the train came back and said, not going to happen until August 22nd. So we tried to buy our way in the line back in, and they were with it, wasn't possible. On midday, we did, there was a $304,000 ad to buy the temporary cooling at that time. We did not take that alternate and recommend alternate too much money, and we didn't know what that was. So this is basically the same value it did, except it's half of that value, 192. Started with a $3 million budget, did it 2 times, you have this, you're still going to be under your available funds that you have available for that children. We just didn't pick it up then. So, quite honestly, we wanted to identify that cost of those vendors and bidders to kind of pin them down. So, if you notice now, been out, what we did was, instead of trying to rent and that's what that was, we took the old chiller and set it outside. Take the type of inside so that you can fire it up and run. Because we used to value the asset that you have, even though it's limited, we make it down to all this credit, which the new incentive takes over. It just gives us a way to not incur that cost and put it up on a budget value that was there. And this was Sears.
That's her monies.
That's her. That's her part. So it should be a fairly simple thing, just identifying what that is. It's got the price of your product. So send it in for approval. We're doing the work. Just got to keep the paperwork straight to move on. come to you all for approval. Approve, the chair sign, and the process is.
Okay.
And no other issues that we are, there's no other issues, anything that we know about there, we're just going to go through it. Wait for it coming. It will be worked on, it'll be after hours, of course, yes, should be a short couple of weeks to get that in done. So that's how it's going to fenced off and secured, set up, wait for it.
Did you have to do this for both schools?
Yes.
Okay, just, it's outside, but it's going to be connected and everything's going to be, you know.
Yeah, the high school's a little different because you have that, kind of platform to get it out on that ledge. The central is different because we switched it up. In other words, we left one along there, had to take the board out, just position it around, put the board back in. Because the high school has two over on street children. They're operating different, they're more efficient unit. In a single one, to replace it central. So yes, it covers both of them.
And actually, it's Central, they hadn't replaced that before, had they?
No.
That was so that's about 25 years old. And the high school is a little, maybe a little
The high
like,
school, yeah, the high school, so, great question. The high school, yes, the high school is on a little different one, centrifugal at Central School, and screw chillers are in the high school. So the one at the Central is a larger, bigger one. The thing about Central is a little different. It doesn't serve, that chiller only serves the core and the large buildings. The other ones are on campus. So kind of different, so that chiller is a little lesser of a size, the Central and the high school. We're
Okay.
completely alternate.
thank you.
All right. Have a motion to approve the
Change
Madison
order.
School chiller replacement change order.
I move to approve the Madison County School District chiller replacement change order.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Thompson, a second by Ms. Hagan to approve the chiller replacement change order. Any more discussion on it? If not, all in favor? 5-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Will.
All right. 8.2 personnel changes done.
Under personnel, under number 1, you have the personnel changes, which are several, my list just disappeared. Several recommendations, several resignations. So you'll notice all of those. Number 2, the extra hours from Mr. Self. We are no longer requesting those hours. The request for proposals on moving services, we did not receive any. When they began starting to try to use our own manpower and equipment to try to move the school's classroom equipment in boxes, it took quite a bit more time, and I believe they only were able to move 2 classrooms, and they then started trying to calculate, and it was going to take a lot more time. So after discussing our options with Mr. Reeves, when we did not receive any proposals, what were our options? So he said because we did not receive any, we could go and try to seek out quotes. So Mr. Ginn spoke with 2 different vendors, and one gave us the option. They said they couldn't do it till September. They were booked up till then. Another one, they're able to do it this week, and gave us a firm bid. They were not like, oh, it'll be this much per day, and it could take us, however many days. So they will actually move everything this week. They're going to store things in the gym, and then they can then move everything to the rooms at the central school. So they give us a price of less than $10,000 to move. So we're fortunate enough to be able to move everything. So Ms. Brown is trying to make sure everything as far as the tables that need to be moved. She's trying to take care of that, I think, tomorrow, and make sure everything is identified. And then the moving company will come and move the furniture, and then all the teacher boxes that are boxed up and sitting in the middle of floors.
No,
So,
okay.
so number 2, we do not need anymore. Number 3 is extra hours for Mr. Blue. He's working around the campus, trying to take care of some of the utility stuff around the campus, around the facilities. Number 4 is extra hours for Mr. Brown. So that's usually for the yard maintenance during the summer. He assists with that. And then number 5 is the extra hours for Mr. Johnson. He comes in on Fridays because we're only 4 days right now. So he meets on Fridays when the Department of Corrections sends out their crew to the school for the painting services. So that's what those extra hours. So I do request your approval of our personnel changes.
Okay. All right, we'll have a motion to approve the personnel changes.
I move to approve the personnel changes with the additional hours and excluding number 2 for Wallace self-extra hours.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Have a motion by Ms. Thompson, a second by Ms. Knight to approve the personnel changes. Any discussion?
Let's go back to this moving company that you just spoke of. All right, is the auction still on the table?
Yes.
Because you're talking about moving the furniture, moving this,
That's only for the couple of teacher desks that do need to come. So
Oh,
it's
not everything.
Not everything is
Okay.
coming.
Okay, I understand. Okay, I didn't know if you were emptying out the building.
And then it's the teachers where they boxed up all their classrooms.
Yes,
It's all those
they've got to
items.
have that moved, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? All right. All in favor of the personnel changes, raise your hand. 5-0. All right. 8.3, 2025-2026 Florida School Board Association Advocacy Committee Representative and Alternate.
FSBA has requested the boards to name a representative and an alternate to serve on the 25-26 Advocacy Committee. So I need the board to name someone and then an alternate, someone to serve as an alternate. So would anybody like to volunteer?
I can do it, it's fine.
And I'll do the alternate if you want
Okay, that would be great.
to. Okay.
Thank you all.
Appreciate y'all. Do I need to vote on that?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion.
I move to approve Ms. Knight as the Advocacy Committee representative and Ms. Gibson as the alternate.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Thompson and a second by Ms. Hagan to approve Ms. Knight as the Advocacy Committee representative and Ms. Gibson as the alternate. Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Okay, 8.4, financial report.
I don't have anything tangible other than what I've handed out already, but I just wanted to remind the group and give you all an update on what our priorities are and where we stand. Right now, finishing the fiscal year end 24-25, which is the June 30th year end. We're still working on pulling that together. And in the meantime, working on getting the budget developed and as accurate as we can project that at this time. But again, to circle back on the projected budget documents, we are looking right now on the revenue side from our Florida state funding. What we have estimated right now from the conference report that we received June 15th is an overall district FTE decrease of around 83 FTE. An increase in the Florida Empowerment Scholarships over last year, where we 164 to 194, so that's 30 additional FTE. that They show up in some of our numbers, but then they come out, so we basically don't get any funding there. And so overall district revenues, and again, this is a moving target, but what we have right now is the projected revenue decrease from the state funding, which includes property taxes, which should be a little bit of a bump up, but overall net, we're looking at around 750,000 less than we operated off of last year. So what we're doing right now is working to really narrow down on the expenditure side. We know we'll have some savings from facility consolidations to help mitigate the reductions. But then we also have to address our payroll, some increases that we're required to make, some increases in Florida retirement. And I think we, again, not being negative, it's just we are facing another decrease in the revenue. So we don't have, we're really getting granular on our expenditures, and that's why we want to spend some time on that and get something that can mitigate the decrease. Again, I'll provide you updated documents with the budget numbers and updated information as we move towards the June 30th internal financials. And we'll go from there. So I'll try to answer any questions. If anyone has anything they want to ask me during the week, just reach out. We'll try to find the information and we'll move forward.
I got a question. As far as the outlying schools, they are closed down, okay, but there's still going to be some expenditures connected to it. We won't be paying for a principal, we know that. I'd like to know what our expenses are going to be. I mean, you walk in there today and it's cool, so of course we're paying electricity, and it's going to be a continual expense. To know what we're dealing with there. Not now.
No, but that's exactly what we're trying to narrow down on a school by school basis so we can see.
Okay.
There will be, especially this first year in the transition, there will be more expenditures. For example, we had to renew our insurance, which won't be happening going forward after this year when we have the schools divested of or completely shut down. So this first year, we are trying to get narrowed down what our actual expenditures have been for those schools, what's going away this year, and what, in addition, will be going away going forward. So I understand what you're asking, and I want to get the numbers pulled together also.
Thank you.
So we'll work to get that on a school-by-school basis and overall projection.
Ms. Gibson, while we do not necessarily have to run the AC at 72,
Yeah,
we do have to run it
yes.
and things. So for now, we're gonna have to run that AC at least at a 78 for a few months. And otherwise, it'll just, and somebody's
Yeah.
gonna have to go by and flush the commodes. And
Right.
otherwise, the water will sit there and become stagnant and stale, so we have to do that. So we will have some of those costs, but it should not be as high as they have been. So we're trying to look at those costs, and that's one of the things that's trying to get those comparable costs now.
Okay.
Next year, we should be zeroed out with those costs.
Thank you.
Any other questions I can try to answer?
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we have a motion to
Except
accept the financial report.
I move to accept the financial report.
second.
I have a motion by Ms. Thompson and a second by Ms. Hagan to accept the financial report. Any more discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Okay, 8.5, Baker Donaldson Legal Services for FEMA appeal.
As you know, the roof at the central school, our FEMA denied the claim, so we've had to appeal. This particular legal services, this law firm was recommended to handle this, so this is the agreement that they sent. While I could go ahead and sign it due to its being under the threshold, after speaking to her, she feels very confident that she will be successful in receiving an overturn of the appeal. So we just have to go through it. In order to claim any of these costs and try to recover those costs, these legal services, I have to have the board approval so we can then try to claim this as management cost. So I do recommend this because we do want to have this overturned and get our money back and have FEMA try to pay for that roof. So that's too much. It's I think it's like right at 5 million is what they denied.
Did you say 5 million?
5 million, yes, ma'am. The appeal letter has a lot of, it's almost like it's copy paste. They had a lot of, actually they denied, and they have the wording of Taylor County School District, and we are Madison County School District. So we already knew they denied Taylor counties. So it was very interesting. So there's some other things that we had already provided, they say that they needed. So we had already provided our maintenance records and a lot of footage, even our drone footage. And they said they needed photos. So she actually said she had everything to be able to work with to write the appeal. And she could get the appeal written. And then we sit and wait. So I do recommend your approval.
Okay. All right, need a motion to accept the Baker Donaldson legal service for FEMA appeal. Have a motion?
I move.
I second.
Have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Thompson to approve the Baker Donaldson legal services for the FEMA appeal. Is there any more discussion on this?
I'd like to ask Mr. Reeves a question. Is this our only alternative right here, what we're doing?
Well, your only alternative is to appeal
Is to appeal it.
FEMA. Now, I assume there are other law firms that can handle this. I don't.
So this is your recommendation that we do it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I wouldn't know where to start with a FEMA appeal.
Yeah.
That's a very specialized area.
Right, okay.
And
I'm
I assume Baker Donaldson, that's a big law firm, they do lots of stuff. I assume they would have folks that would specialize in that.
Okay.
And the fee seemed reasonable. It had a not-to-exceed fee of $25,000, which seems reasonable for this kind of work. Certainly, it's worth the board investing that amount for possible $5 million.
Right.
So, yeah, I would recommend you do that.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Okay, 8.7, the Blooms renewal.
8.6.
Well, it's 3.6. Huh?
8.6 is
Oh,
Eagle
I'm
Tree.
sorry, I've skipped one. 8.6, consolidation work with Eagle Tree.
Eagle Tree. So Eagle Tree is our new, Eagle Tree Technologies is our new IT vendor. So because of the consolidation, the original agreement did not cover the outlying schools. So I did ask Mr. Ward, to come in and start reviewing, and the outlying schools having to take down all of the technology, relocate it, and actually more or less tear down classrooms and put up classrooms. So that's what this is for. He is also actually having to subcontract with a vendor to help with this. So they are ready to go as soon as this is approved. So I think Mr. Reeves has one slight change on the terms.
Yeah.
So that's the only change. So they have walked the schools, visited all the schools, and identified everything and kind of prioritized everything and know what has to be done right away so that we have everything up and ready for when school starts, and then kind of do like a phased approach. So especially because one of the things I made sure, I said I want all the cameras taken out so that we can have more cameras there available on site at Central School. So that's been a priority because I know that several are not working and different things like that. So I want to either replace things like that. So I do recommend your approval.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I have
okay,
one
go
thing.
ahead.
On number 6, on the term, it says the amendment will be effective on the date the amendment is signed. The term of the amendment will end when the work is completed by ETT. I think you need a backstop date there. So what I'd recommend is, and we talked to the gentleman from Eagle Tree, is leave that same sentence, but add some language so it says the term of the agreement will end when the work is completed by ETT or October 31, 2025, whichever occurs first. And then that way you got a backstop.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the consolidation work with Eagle Tree with the changes to the agreement stating it, as Mr. Reeves just said?
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the contract with Eagle Tree Technologies with the amendment recommended by Attorney Reeves.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Hagan to approve the consolidation work with Eagle Tree with the changes to the agreement mentioned by Mr. Reeves. Any discussion?
Let me ask you a question. I'm looking at the cost right here. It was originally $32,000 for this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now it's going to be $24,000 in addition to that?
No,
No.
Or $8,000? I'm not,
that's breaking up the 32. 24
That's-
plus 8 is 30.
okay, that's going to
It's
break up.
32, and that's how you're breaking it up.
Okay,
And that's not, I wouldn't think that's uncommon because I believe Eagle Tree is going to have a subcontractor, so they've got to have money up front to
okay.
pay the subcontractor. But you're obligating yourself to this whole payment. Now, I don't know that there's any other way to do it because we're trying to get them in to work quickly and
Right.
all of that. This isn't one of those contracts where you can give them 30 days notice and cancel it. But there's no good way to have it be that way because they've got to get in there and start working.
Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? Not, all in favor? 5-0. Okay, 8.7, Bloom's renewal.
Okay, so I actually asked for this to be pulled so we could discuss it. I have received multiple calls from staff members as well as parents. They have complained that the system is not user-friendly. I can attest to that as a parent. It is very frustrating to use, and I honestly don't really use it for that reason. A lot of the teachers are used to using Dojo, and I understand the reasoning behind us switching from Dojo to Bloom's, so we could comply with House Bill 379. I would like for us to possibly explore some other potentially more user-friendly options before we commit to using Bloom's, because I definitely see the frustration with it. I don't really have a preferred, I have looked into a couple different options and I've noted some of them. One of them is called Parent Square. There's a couple of different other ones that, one that is specifically has bilingual translation added in, and it's kind of like a one-stop shop that keeps the transcriptions of communication for record-keeping purposes, and it complies with House Bill 379. I don't have a preference. I don't know that it necessarily will be better than Blooms, but I do know that Blooms is extremely frustrating. So
Yes.
that's why I've asked for this to be discussed before we vote to move forward with Blooms for an additional school year.
Yes, and I concur. I too asked, because, I did get a lot of calls and concerns as well. There are many options. I reached out to several other school districts. A lot of the other school districts use the Parent Square. They actually even use Focus within Skyward. There's a lot of positive feedback about that. So I do think that, one of the biggest issues that I think that parents have with the school district is lack of communication. And a lot of that comes from the fact that, we're using Blooms to communicate with these parents and it's not user-friendly. So I really do think in order for us to be able to move forward and progress in, having better communication with our parents, we do need to secure something that's a little bit more user-friendly. We also need to keep in mind that we have a lot of grandparents that are raising children, and they don't do technology, so if we have something that is very user-friendly like Dojo, which there are some workarounds, even a school district currently is using Dojo because there are some workarounds from my understanding. That's not my area of expertise. I just inquired to some other school districts to see what was working for them. But I definitely think that before we commit to renewing Blooms, we need to do a little bit more research on something that would give us better results for our parents.
I like the idea that you connected with some other districts, just so we'd like to get some feedback from them.
I did, yes, ma'am. I spoke to multiple districts and board members and administrators in other districts. And like I said, I was pleasantly surprised that several of them are using Focus within Skyward. I didn't know that Skyward had that capability, and I don't know, if we've checked into that or not. But whatever it is, I just think that it is our biggest area of weakness and where we need to, especially with this consolidation, like we really need to have our best foot forward, and communication is one of the biggest complaints. And, I think there's got to be a better option that's a lot more, like, our parents don't need all these bells and whistles. I know Blooms comes with all of these features where, we can do videos and we can do this and we can do that. At the end of the day, the parents just want to know what's going on with their kids and what they need to bring, what they don't need to bring. All of that other stuff is not necessary. So I don't think that we need all the bells and whistles. I think we just need to simplify it so that it works for people to communicate back and forth.
I didn't get any complaints from the parents.
I didn't either.
I tried once, and I couldn't do nothing with it, and I ain't proud of it.
Amen.
It's very frustrating.
It is.
As somebody who uses technology every day, I was frustrated with it. So, and just the amount of money that we spend on it, almost $20,000 annually, I would really like for us to explore some other options. So I'm going to ask
To make it simple.
if we can pull and table this and explore other options for a communication piece.
And
for
I
our
second
families.
that.
Something simple.
Mr. Reeves, how I need to go about this? How do I need to go about this?
I think that usually when you say it's a table, it would require a motion to take it off of the table. Usually when people say table, they just mean continue. And so I think what you're saying is you want to continue this issue. Do you want to pick a meeting to continue it to? Do you want to continue it to the next meeting? in
When would be
The
the
next
next reasonable? I don't want to give you, I know there's.
We got to have something by the time school starts.
Right.
Yes, I was going to say, we don't want to go into the school.
I would say at least by the 21st, so that
Okay.
would give us 2 weeks to try to get.
Some options.
And I'll be happy to send you the contacts and the information that I gathered, if that helps with some of the due diligence on the back end.
So if you would, Ms. Thompson, if you could change your motion to continue this until the July 21 meeting.
Okay. I move to continue this until the July 21st meeting.
And I second.
We have a motion by Ms. Thompson and a second by Ms. Knight to continue the Blooms renewal to the July 21st meeting. Any discussion on this? All in favor? 5-0. Okay. Dr. Pickett?
Before you, I provided the school grades. So our school grades were finally released today. We've been kind of looking for them, and so then they kept saying, oh, they'll be out today, they'll be out today. So we kind of kept looking for them, so they were released today. So our high school, I am pleased to advise you, it was not an I this year. So I kind of kept telling Mr. Brooks, please make sure you get these students in to be tested. So our high school, which we knew was going to be a C, and our central school was a C. So we knew our public schools, we knew what our grades were, we had calculated those. So the central school was a C. Greenville did come up from an F to a D, so they made a little bit of progress. So I was pleased with the progress they did make. Lee was a B, Pinetta was a B, and then James Madison was a C, and then Creative Arts fell to a C. So overall, our district grade is a C. So I'm anxious to see what's going to happen with our consolidation. And I keep saying that I know these schools can be a B, if not an A. These kids can do this. Just like when Central School was in turnaround before, I knew that that school could move that grade. These kids can do this. So I feel confident that these kids will have every advantage, especially with some of the things we're putting in place. I'm anxious to see and watch this needle move, so to speak, for the upcoming year. I also received some calls regarding band, and so we did make the post today. I did speak to Mr. Drost. He's up in the mountains on vacation. And so the band camp will start on the 21st. It will be from 8 to 5. Please have your children dropped off at 7:30 and ready to start at 8 o'clock. Please don't show up at 8 o'clock, show up at 7:30, ready to start at 8 o'clock on the 21st. So we made the post on the high school page and then shared it on the district page too. So please get the word out. So as far as our chiller project, if you'll recall, we went to where it was a reimbursement only. They have, I did receive word that the U.S. Department of Education has reinstated the previously extension. So I did ask that, yes, Madison wanted to participate, so that has all been opened back up. So any of those payments we should be able to draw down now. So I am pleased about that, since that takes money away. So that's it for now. We are counting down days in the middle of trying to finish hiring. I think Ms. Brown has a 4th grade ELA. I think she has one other class that somebody else let them know that they accepted another position. So she's pretty well staffed. And then there's a science at the high school. So other than looking for a principal now, we'll start that and start looking at these ESE individuals. So we're focusing more on the
And has all of the
administrative.
staff been notified? Because some of the feedback that I'm getting is a lot of people still haven't been notified, so.
Staff is for the new staff?
Yes.
They've been coming in.
Okay, so that they're getting,
They're coming in and having to do their fingerprints and being notified to come on in, because a lot of them are having to go through some training now.
okay, perfect.
So they're having to come in. Ms. Irvine's calling them and
Excellent.
asking them to come in and complete all their new hire paperwork and getting them set up. So that's all I have for now.
Ms. Reed?
No, sir, not unless you've got questions of me.
Come on now. Ms. Gibson?
Yes, I'd like to recognize the Beta Club at Madison County High School. 17 Madison County High School students attended the National Beta Club in Louisville, Kentucky during the month of June. They brought home the national first place in robotics and national 4th place in collaboration connection. I'll have to find out what that means. And I'd like to thank the sponsor teacher, Ms. Suzanne Griffin. I'd also like her to recognize our schools and the hard work they put forth this year. I know that Lee was 1 point away from becoming an A, so they were right up there at the top. And of course, we saw some progress and improvement, and that's always good. And we thank everyone that had something to do with this. It involved a lot of different people. Thank you.
And I would just like to say that all of our public schools improved. Everyone involved, I thank you.
I concur, nothing additional to add.
I just want to say thank you to everybody that showed up today and all of our staff and teachers for everything you do. We're getting ready to head back to school in a couple weeks, and I know that you guys have probably been enjoying your summer, and I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your summer.
Getting to be the chairman, I'm the last one, so everybody says about everything, and so I say ditto to all of it, and I appreciate everybody.
Move to adjourn.
We adjourn.
Amen.